It is the 7th of March, 2019. This is WIKISPEED Stand-Up. We're a couple minutes early, just gonna wait for everybody else to show up. Hopefully, more than Lauren show up. Not that Lauren's bad, but it'd just be nice if there's more people. Okay, take her away, Lauren.
This is Lauren Salter on Gabriel Island, British Columbia. And this past week, I have been reading through a couple of books on Raspberry Pi and Arduino, following a lot of what Michael's doing. I managed to read most of his stand-up, which I obviously heard last. Actually, I don't know if I did. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I've done. I've kind of just been following things. Oh yes, yeah. I would say that's it for the past week. Coming week, I'm gonna continue to read Michael's postings and watch the videos as they are uploaded, and coordinate with my Python and Raspberry Pi and Arduino. I have a book on sensors, so I'm going to kind of try and integrate those, put those together, and oh yes. Coming week, I would like to order, kind of coordinating with Michael, I want to order Raspberry Pi and or Arduino kits. And blocks, I've still got lots of health things, but I've also removed some of them. And looks like I'm going to get some more help here while limiting my costs. And there was some other blocks. Oh yes, so this I bought a new tablet, new cheap tablet, so that while my wife is watching the news, I can read my AI Raspberry Pi AI Python book, which I have on, and also to other things like kind of, yeah, so self-training things. So that's it for me for now.
Okay, that's Michael Wolchuk in Saskatoon. I've got a long and detailed update that I think is probably a whole lot easier to read than it is to listen to. Basically, I worked on the remote control truck this week, and I found some success in figuring out which pins did what, and which pins moved from where to where on the board. I did get some wires soldered onto the board, sort of precariously, but they do run. And I just last night finished, or I did get the truck wheels to actually turn using the Arduino to turn them on and off. So that was kind of cool. I've got video of all of it, and Lauren reassures me that he's going to watch whatever I put out. So we're going to have a couple of different things happening on the weekend. There's going to be short snippets, which should be rather defined and say, okay, I'm going to test this, that, and the other thing, and then it'll be the video of it, and then we'll stop. And then there's going to be long, meandering videos where I try and figure out what's going on with the signals and trace it back with meters and stuff, which I'm hoping is somewhat useful. It's almost like doing it yourself, because I tell you why I'm doing it and when and stuff. Hopefully it's helpful to somebody trying to do their own stuff. I found a local support or local supply for my Arduino stuff, makerspace in Saskatoon called Saskatoon Tech Works. So I will be paying them a visit on Monday to pick up some headers, an ultrasonic sensor, which I think would be kind of cool on the front of the truck for trying to avoid obstacles if we get to the point where we're trying to move it around by itself. And Christina from WikiFactory, they have released forums now on their WikiFactory site. So I am going to spend some time exploring that. A little bit of, I think it's an organizational account they're going to give us. It's all in alpha, so they're not charging for anything yet. I don't know what they're going to charge eventually. I don't have any demo. I concentrated on doing stuff and getting the video taken because I knew I was going to have trouble or time on the weekend to edit and post. I'm also going to be posting the code I used. Unfortunately, I saved over top of some of it, but we'll see if I can restore from backups or whatever. Next week, as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing some posting of video. I've got to locate a Dremel tool for my CNC machine. I found some software for it. It's probably not the latest and greatest. It is from GitHub, but I think there was newer stuff on the site where they had their forums and stuff, but the site is no longer up, so I should be able to at least get it to move. I would like to use the closed loop feedback that they have on the CNC machine. It just uses a neodyne or a neodymium magnet on the end of a threaded rod, and then there's a chip that they position over top of the magnet, and it gives you angular position, and it's supposed to keep up at 12,000 RPM. So it's insanely oversized for what they're using it for. And I think we could probably use it as really cheap feedback if we have a shaft that's visible that we can mount something on. I think it would be interesting to play with. That's about it. Oh yeah, I got no blocks, and I guess that's back to you, Lauren. Oh, Lauren, you're still muted. There you go.
Okay, yeah, okay. So before the retrospective, I'm going to have a question because I don't know what application you're talking about for the magnet feedback, but I'll do that in crosstalk.
Sure.
So I'm going to give myself a 5, and the team, I'll go again with an 8. Or rather, I'll agree with your 8 in terms of we haven't solved the issue, and so that would. I'm also suspending the process improvement. We need more people on the call. We need to maybe think about why. We used to have more people on the call, so how come there aren't more people on the call? So that's it. For me, I think that's it for the process, for the structure.
Okay. It's just you and me. And we have kind of lost some of the chatter on the Little Red Wagon project. Are we going to call that sidecar, or are we going to leave it as Little Red Wagon? I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. No, the sidecar is only the mode.
Oh, okay. Okay, and that pretty much takes us out of stand-up. We're done for the week. So the crosstalk, you wanted to talk about the magnet.
Yeah. So you said we could. I'd like to use that. Are you talking still about the CNC mill? Are you talking about a different app?
I'm talking about. It's very difficult to find a motor like a drill or a sawzall or a skill saw that you can just use the DC motor, but that actually gives you encoder feedback. So if we're going to use motors on each wheel for our little red wagon, some way to tell how many times it turned around.
Right.
So that's what I was hoping. If we can get a motor with an exposed shaft on, like it drives the load on one end and direction we're pointed if we don't have GPS.
Excuse me, you just cut out for about 30 seconds. I don't know if it's at my end or your end.
Okay, well, I'll try to repeat that.
Okay.
So for the magnet, I'm hoping that we can use a protruding shaft on a drill or a belt sander or whatever motor we end up using to monitor how many times the DC motor turns, while the other side ends up driving our wheel. This side is going to end up with the magnet on it, and we can tell how often it spins.
Cool.
So we can do a little bit of dead reckoning and figure out which direction we're pointed and stuff. So that was the interest, because encoders are not that expensive, but comparatively they're more expensive than almost everything else that we're putting onto this thing so far.
Cool.
So anyway, that's the interest. And anything else you want to talk about?
Kind of, but it's hard. There's so much stuff. Let me see. The only thing I did want to say is I think there's an incredible amount of applications for this thing. Yeah.
Did we talk about the Pi stuff being called a kit last week?
You sent me a thing, and I haven't had a chance to look at it or sort it out yet. But if you look on eBay or on Amazon and you look for Pi 3 or Pi 0 kits, they'll normally include a power supply and a case, and they say they have a micro SD card. They don't say whether the operating system's on it. It seems that the plain vanilla load for Raspbian does have Python, and it seems to have a selection of drivers for mouse and keyboard and that kind of stuff. So do you recommend that like Amazon, or what about that Canadian site I sent you?
Well, it was tough for me to tell it was tough for me to tell what was included with that one.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. So I'm comfortable with. I'll do a comparison. I'll check Amazon, and then I'll talk to them if I can get them on the phone, and ask them how come you can't tell what's in the kit and what's in the kit. So
one of the things that's interesting about the larger versions of the Arduino is they have a setup in the USB to make them look like a keyboard or a mouse.
Okay.
So it's a relatively easy way to send a little bit of data back and forth.
Yeah, I get it. You can use some standard keyboard mouse kinds of things too.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is moderately useful. I was hoping that the wireless mouse would be a standard thing, and that we could use the mouse as feedback for how far the wheel has gone. But if this magnet thing works out, we may not need that. I don't know.
Yeah, cool. So at this point, what I'm kind of interested in getting the parts and catching up with you, whether I understand what I'm doing or not. So maybe that's kind of a test for your videos. So if I can reproduce what you've done from your videos, whether or not and then the understanding it is a whole another thing about than just reproducing it. So, but I'm interested in both, but I don't want to get too far behind, or it'd be nice to have the two. I think that adds, because I can run into problems too and blow things up too.
Okay.
Tell you about them.
I don't know how comfortable you are with scraping off the through a trace.
Actually, then you cut out again for 30 seconds. So I'm a little suspicious. My new machine, it's got twice as many processors. I'm a little suspicious.
You had dropped out on me as well, and I had walked over, and I think I verified that it was on the laptop as well. I'm not sure whether it was your side or mine, because I've got these both on the same connection. So.
Right. Yeah. So anyway. I'm testing this right now. I may go back to the phone because the phone never alters.
With how.
Yes.
How comfortable are you scratching up?
I'm fine with that. Here, I'm going to show you something here. So I have done soldering. I've taken courses in soldering, and I'm just trying to hold this where you can see it. You see it? I've got the little hand, the magnifying glass, and the soldering iron. I don't have I might want to upgrade a soldering iron. I want to get one with a really, I want a fairly good one. I think this is just a cheapo, this one.
So, if you look here, and I have to turn on the light. Come on, girl. So, I don't know if you can focus on that. The traces are not very large.
Yeah.
The traces are not very large.
And what is that I'm looking at? What is that I'm looking? What's the green thing?
The green thing is the control board of the truck.
Right.
And the gray things are the wires that are soldered onto it.
Right.
And it's teeny little spots. So.
Yeah. So I'll need my magnifying glass at least. I have I have this. I bought. It was like $10. It's not a great one, but it's. I don't know if I ever showed you that. It's a. I don't know what you call it. A loop, jeweler's. But with the headset loop with the light and different magnification. So I have that. I'm thinking maybe I should try use that on the lowest one.
Okay.
So I can see what I'm doing and have enough light. And then I had a question.
Yeah. Sure.
So I didn't quite understand the when you were burning out stuff and everything. You talked about wire wrap, and then. Were you using?
This is wire wrap. So this is wire wrap wire.
Mm-hmm.
It is 20 gauge, and
Right.
it has very thin insulation on it. So
Right.
you bend that sucker a couple of times, and
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of falls right off. Okay. Whereas this cable here, this wire
Yeah.
that I'm using, that's the ribbon cable, it doesn't have a whole lot more copper inside the like as the wire, but it has a fair bit more insulation, and it doesn't have a problem with if I give this a little tug, the whole thing doesn't come apart.
Right. Right. And at the Arduino end,
Mm-hmm. So the Arduino is right here,
right.
and you have a header on one side, which is just a row of pins, and that's why
Right.
I wanted this connector flat ribbon, so that I didn't
Right.
have to deal with that side. So here you can see that there's the ground signal comes into
Right.
this side, and then
Okay.
all the other ones are just kind of pre-terminated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. But you're not using a breadboard or a shield or some other thing? Are you going straight to the Arduino? And is it called a shield because it shields the Arduino from being burnt out?
I don't know why it's called a shield. They came up with that name. It doesn't have any protection for the Arduino. Like, I can show you a couple of shields.
Okay.
This one, for example, I'll just flip this. That shield, for example, is the one for the SD card.
Right.
And it's got a little prototyping, but you see that there's just rows of pins on the side, right? There's no chips that isolate the pins on the Arduino and protect it from anything. It's just
okay, but the Arduino just plugs into the shield, right?
Correct.
And then the shield is bigger, so it's easier to solder onto or do whatever you want to do. Is that right?
It's not really bigger. One second here. I will show you. Okay, so that, if I can get out of the light, is a regular size shield for an Arduino, and that's the screw terminal shield. Okay.
Right.
You see that the Arduino is underneath there, and
it's about the same size. It doesn't.
Yeah, the distance between the pins and stuff isn't a whole lot. Like this little guy here is just a tiny size one, but the distance between the pins is the same. So,
okay.
You can certainly make the connections to that screw terminal type if you would rather do that than solder. That's certainly viable. And that way you can do one at a time, so you don't have to get them all perfect the first time, right?
Okay.
Maybe that might be like that. The screw terminal shield's worth like $8 or something. So it's not a huge outlay.
Then I have another question.
Sure.
You said that the Arduinos and the Pis fit on them. Can you show me that? They fit on it, but not in it. I'm pretty sure I understand. I think you're hanging it off the side. Is that right?
So this is the cover.
Right.
And that's the direction it would be. And if you look at this, that board fits inside here, and there's only like 3/8 of an inch above it before you get to the bottom of this thing. So it's going to hang like that without the cover on at all, because I can't make it all fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been thinking about protecting it. You think, as the car is capable of smashing into things, so the chip could get damaged, right? The exposed electronics could get damaged. But maybe we need to build a different a bulbous kind of cover for it, sort of a bubble cover.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I was saying is maybe we need to build a bubble cover for it. Something that's a little more bulbous and makes more room. Protector kind of a thing.
Yeah. The other thing is, one of the things that I want to try here, perhaps tonight, is to actually slow down the motors. So instead of just turning them full on and full off, that we turn them on 50% or 30% or something like that, and see if it's actually enough torque for it to move.
Yeah, I saw your note in the stand-up notes.
So that's, if we can slow it down a little bit, I think it would be less damaged, I guess. I'm not sure if it'll,
yeah. And one other thing I was thinking of, I have a heat. 2 years ago, I bought a heat gun to repair my shoes. Try and make it waterproof. And so I know people like waterproof their electronics with those hot glue.
hot glue or silicone or something. Yep.
Yeah. So that's something we could think about too with this. I was thinking.
The challenge there is that every connector you've got can't really be waterproofed, because you've got to have good solid connection with the metal pins.
Right.
So if you want it to be waterproof, we've got to take the connectors off and do it some other way.
Okay.
Like soldering or whatever.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, it's all interesting to me. I do have one quick question. So I'm not well educated in electronics, and I have, a long time ago, I got Forrest Mims' thing at Radio Shack, his basic electronics. And I'm thinking I should review that. I have a PDF version of it. I have the original too, but I'm thinking of keeping or selling that as never mind. But anyways, yeah, review the Forrest Mims basic electronics. I haven't never had a chance to use it, so I don't really retain it very well. But in terms of what ohms and watts and volts and induction and alternating and direct and all of those kinds of things. So it seems that's a fair part, because you just do that in your head. You're always doing the formulas and stuff as you're going.
Yeah, I apologize for that. A lot of people don't do math in their head anymore.
No, it's good.
I've got to make sure that I'm in the right ballpark. We've only got a couple minutes left here before the video is going to stop. So.
Okay.
Actually, we've got 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
Okay. That's just about right for me.
Okay.
Okay. Really good talking to you.
And we'll try to get you set up with a parallel system here. The only issue that I see that you're probably going to have a little bit of trouble with is soldering onto that board. I'm going to see if I can come up with a way to connect easier than what I did.
Okay.
Because what I did is a little bit, it's not advanced, but it's fiddly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Anyway. Okay. So, and receipt. Did you ever figure out the tax receipt stuff?
I sent you a thing, and I think you responded. Are you waiting for me again? I sent you a thing with the basic elements.
Well, I don't think
it's back in my ballpark, or
I think so, because I shouldn't probably generate a receipt for myself.
oh, so you want me to generate a receipt? Okay, I'll do it.
If you can.
Yeah, I'll look at yours, and I will go into a LibreNet writer and write a receipt.
Okay. Yeah, because
Okay.
it'll get us some extra cash. So.
Okay.
Looks like we're pretty much going to stop here. So I will talk to you next week.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye-bye.